Hello, welcome, MLB Pro nerds. This is episode 3 of MLB Pro's Rough Draft. My name is John Comey. With me, as always, now 3 for 3, Scott Gessford. How are you, Scott?
Good, John. How are you today?
I'm on spring break, so I'm very napped up. I have ramped up on naps, and yeah, feeling good.
Good.
On our show today, just to kind of preview things, talking about some teams that are maybe unlikely leaders to start the season. Also, we have stash and sell. Our head-to-head so far, we're even. Just to give you a snapshot of the league standings, as I did last week, trying to make this thing. AL East, Boston Red Sox are still 1 game up on the Rays. They're 6-3. Central, Twins are 6-3, game up on the Tigers. In the AL West, the Mariners continue to be on top. They are a game and a half ahead of the A's and the Angels. Mariners are 7-3, currently with the best record in the AL. In the NL East, the Phillies are 7-2, tied for the best record in the NL. They're a half on the Marlins. Reds 5-4, game up on the Cardinals and Brewers in the Central. And the NL West, the Giants are also at 7-2, tied with those Phillies. They are a half game up on the Dodgers. That's how things look right now.
And don't forget, Atlanta is tied with Miami for second in the NL East.
I was trying to forget that, but okay. But all right.
Gotta get Brenton some due.
I guess. I mean, all right. Well, all right. We have the same format as last week. Because again, I don't have a non-draft to a non-MLB Pro draft to do. So let's just get right into the draft. You had the number 1 pick for this week, and what did you take?
I said, will the real Houston Astros please stand up? They have lost 2, 4, 6 out of their last 7 games, including being swept by the Twins and losing the last 2 in Detroit in extra innings. If they don't want to fall too far behind in the AL West, they better step it up now as they get a week with at Pittsburgh for 3, a day off, and then 3 against Texas. Time to get healthy.
All right. So just looking at the Astros schedule. So going back just to confirm this. All right. So they started off, 3-1. Before losing 2 of 3 to Detroit. Now, it's interesting because on April 1st, they won 1-0. On Sunday the 2nd, they lost 2-1. Then they won 5-4. Then they lost 7-8 and 14. And they had 2 extra inning games in a row. The 1 in 14 innings. Next day, they lost 4-1 and 10. And then they went to Minnesota. They have lost. They are 2-3 in 1-run games so far. I mean, their record could be very different, but there's no shame in losing in Minnesota. I think I would be more concerned with how they lost those games. They lost 7-0, 11-9, and then 7-6. The Twins offense is obviously very good, but you're supposed to be a team that really, well, okay. They're 13th in the league in runs scored. They're 13th in batting average, 12th in on base, 12th in OPS, 10th in WAR. They're in the back half of pretty much everything except for home runs and stolen bases. Pitching wise, they're actually holding up right now. But a lot of that is Juan Davila, who's 1-0 in his 2 starts with a .71 ERA and a .63 WHIP. Bill Black has sucked, which I had wondered if that would be the case with him. He is just a pedestrian pitcher in Houston, which is weird. Ryan Weathers has looked like he's actually been solid. The ERA hasn't backed up, but he's not one of those guys that's weird where he has a 129 BABIP but a 5.40 ERA and a 79 ERA plus. So it's like you got to figure that BABIP goes up his stats are only going to get worse. The back half of the rotation has not been good. Um, like I don't really know what to make of this team. Like, what do you think is the most troubling thing so far?
Their bats need to wake up. Arenado and Gonzalez are the only two who are batting more than 227. So they're not hitting the ball. So they need to figure that part out. And I think once they do, they'll be solid and they'll rocket right up the standings. But if they don't do
They're
it soon, they're in trouble.
Yeah, their upcoming schedule, they have they're at Pittsburgh today through Wednesday. Then they have a day off. They're at Texas and then, or no, I'm sorry, they're home against Texas and then home to the Blue Jays, who may or may not have any starting pitchers by the time that they get to that series.
Correct.
Yeah, just one thing to note here: Fernando Tatis. Um, kind of wondering when this guy's gonna get going. His rookie year, he hit pretty well, 266, 341, 441 on the slugging, in 478 at bats, 18 homers, 65 RBIs. Last year, he went up to 32 homers, 80 RBIs, but he hit 234, 299, 434 with 175 strikeouts. So far this year, he's hitting 150, 244, 350 for a 63 OPS and a 13 strikeouts in 40 at bats so far. No, did Siri just go off for you?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, good. So Siri's like my in-ear producer right now. I'm not really sure why. Um, I'm wondering when Tatis is just going to get this thing going, or if he is an all or nothing hitter right now.
That's the way it appears to be. Hopefully, well, I shouldn't say hopefully from my perspective, but if he doesn't turn it around soon, is he just going to be an all glove, no bat type of hitter, like you said, crush the ball or strike out?
Yeah, it's I think that's got to be a major concern for the Astros right now. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about regarding Houston, or should I move on to my first round pick?
I think we should move on to yours.
All right, that's a topic I'm sure you really want to talk about. The
Love it.
San Francisco Giants are atop the MLB Pro power rankings. They are 7-2 after sweeping the Angels in San Francisco. They've won 5 straight, 6 of their last 7.
Well, he swept Kansas City, not the Angels.
Oh yeah, the Kansas City. Yeah, I'm looking at the freaking logo and I said the Angels. They're doing it in a manner in which like I kind of would expect San Francisco to do this, and that is with pitching and just enough hitting. Because San Francisco ballpark is really only good for triples. It's a place where fly balls go to die. It's actually if I entered this in correctly, I need to make sure that I entered this in correctly. I absolutely did. It is the least friendly home run ballpark in the league, and it's not even close. Like it is the most unforgiving power ballpark in the league. Could probably rank for first, second, and third in that. They are 8th in runs scored. They're 10th in average, 9th in on base, 9th in OPS. They're 4th in batting WAR, which is really amazing considering their 3 and 4 guys, Spencer Torkelson and Tink Jones, are hitting 138 and 160 respectfully. And Torque has kind of been dead since his opening, since that 2-homer game that he had back on the 30th against the Yankees. But they're winning mainly with pitching and defense. Their second defensive efficiency, second in zone rating, third in errors, um, fourth in runs against. They're sixth and seventh in starters and bullpen ERA, seventh and fifth. Like they are, um, they're crafted. I mean, and it makes sense given that Hines was running Tampa. Now he's running the Giants. That would be, he had enough practice building Tampa to build the Giants. Um, how how do you feel about the Giants so far?
He's played against the Yankees and the White Sox before he played against Kansas City. So those are uh, two of the lower teams. So I'm not too impressed by those Giants start. I know they beat Kansas City. They won 2-1-1 games, 1-run games, and then they shut them out 3-0 yesterday. But like you said, they're in the middle of the pack on a lot of the offensive and defensive categories. They're still not going to win more than 70 games this year, no matter what Hines wants to spout off in the chat room saying he's on the 126 win pace. But for me, I think that's enough talk about the Giants. I don't want to talk about Hines and give him any more airtime than he needs.
Well, I'm gonna present this to you. He knows how to build for a ballpark. And when you play 81 games in a ballpark, the goal is to build a team that's going to give you the greatest possible advantage to winning as many games at home as possible. What if he wins, or what if the Giants win between 55 and 60 games at home? Now that's going to be on the, I think, on the higher end. I think 55 is possible. If this team is truly a team that is built to win at home. They don't, their pitchers outside of Philippe Aumont doesn't have a lot of movement, but you don't need a lot of movement in where the Giants play, because at Oracle Park, their fly balls go to die. So I think what he could really, or what the Giants could really benefit from, are possibly some fly ball pitchers and good outfield defense. And I think, I think he's got that. Torque could be better in the outfield, but at the same time, like he's good enough. But Mickey Moniak and Tink Jones are solid outfielders. I think he's actually got a decent recipe for winning at Oracle, which means we could be talking about them a little bit longer. I think they might be, out of the teams that are the surprise team so far, I think they might be the one that might have a little bit more lasting power, because I think they're really built to win in that ballpark.
And they're going to have to win a lot of 2-1, 3-2 games to be able to do that. And I don't see them having enough offense to be able to win games. If they have to score 4 runs a night, they're done for.
That's the thing. I don't think they're going to need to score 4 runs a night. I think that
eventually,
West.
Eventually, pitchers like Cam Martin are not going to continue to post a 0.66 ERA. They're going to get closer to 4.5 ERA as the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean
that's just my opinion, and I want to see Hines lose as many games as possible. I got to win more games in the Bay Area than he does. That's my goal.
It would be an interesting, wins more by maybe June 1st, Ray or A's or Giants. And Cam Martin's start is rather interesting. Same thing with Dave Groves, because Dave Groves has never, he hasn't really proven to be the pitcher that he was in 2021, when he was 10-3 with Boston. But so far this year, He's never been somebody who's going to walk a lot of guys, but he is limiting his hits. And again, 2 starts, but a .71 WHIP. Um, what if he does sustain in this ballpark? It's going to be very interesting to watch uh this team, especially this week because they host the Dodgers starting tonight. Um, who you got your second round pick?
I put, are the Mets desperate? They just signed Miguel Velasquez. I don't know if you remember who Miguel Velasquez is, but he kills every locker room he has ever been at in the MLB Pro universe. And over the last 3 years, he has batted 233, 301, 439 in 2020 with the Giants. In 2021 with the Yankees, he had decent batting average of 277, 335. Hits for power, strikes out a lot, but man, is that worth your dugout? I had him in Cincinnati for a while and I got rid of him the first chance I could, but my morale hit the tank out. I think the Mets are getting desperate to try to keep pace in the NL East, which I don't think he has enough firepower to finish in the top 3 in that division right now.
No, it's definitely and realistically, if you look at it, the Mets probably factor is like, well, probably 4th place, depending on what you think of the Marlins. But it is curious because well, I guess he could play left field all right, but what do they have? Who do they have in left field right now? Oh, they have Connor Capel or Capel, who he was fine last year. He was 262, 319, 446, 20 homers, 67 RBIs in 542 plate appearances, 2.6 WAR. He's a fine outfielder. He can also go to right field, but Jonathan Drew is young and maybe a solid outfielder. He's in his first season in New York after coming over from the trade with the A's. Like, what do you do with Velasquez? Like, because I don't know that he's going to tolerate, being a 4th outfielder, and you have Zuleng Wang as your DH, though. It's entirely possible that you know Zule Wang may not be much longer for a regular role in New York. He's hitting 240 this year with a 310 on base, which is actually higher. It's his highest since 2020. He had a 269 on base in 2021 and a 279 on base last year.
And you're
Granted,
paying him
both those
15,
years.
and you're paying him $15 million a year for the next couple of years on top of that.
Yeah, and he's only started 162 games in the past 2 seasons combined. And I'm wondering if Velasquez is a you know a something to just give them a little bit more depth, but like to maybe take the place of Wong in some instances. But I'm not really sure of the exact fit here. Outside of just having another professional hitter on the team, because I just don't know where you get him consistent at bats with without hindering any sort of development for Capel or for Drew.
Right, who are both struggling to start the year, but it's early.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a desperate move from a desperate team and a desperate owner who wants to stay relevant in 2023.
The thing I mean, obviously the Mets have historically never been an offensive juggernaut. They have won with pitching, and that makes sense because they have a ballpark very like that also very much favors pitching. They have some of the best historical pitching staffs in MLB Pro history, looking back to the rotations of like 2013, 2014, that era. Mm, They don't have that now. They don't.
No, and
r-
and they're, if you look on, they're like ranked 12th, 14th, 13th, 13th, 15th in all the offensive stats and the defensive stats. I mean, pitching stats. Most of them they're in the 8, 9, 10, 11 range. Home runs allowed, they're only allowed 7 so far, which is awesome. But it's not going to continue. And is Velasquez going to be any kind of impact to be able to even compete with the Phillies or the Braves or even the Nationals?
right. They were very possibly the most consistent team in the National League in the teens, really leading up through 2020 when they won 107 games. But they haven't really seemed to want to take a step back and allow for a reload situation. Like, I mean, Den Decker's been there for forever. He's 35 right now. And he's actually performing well this year, but he has definitely fallen off. Guys like Alberto Vega, um, you know, ha- Tanaka has Tanaka's in his second season, but Tanaka's 34. Like, it seems like they haven't really been interested in a, you know, break it down for a couple of years, trade guys while their value is high, and then just try and get some guys in like AAA and just, you know, have a lull, like just have a little slight, one step back and two steps forward. And now it just seems like you're right. They are just trying to hang on, I guess, um, while things just deteriorate in New York. So yeah, I mean, the Velasquez thing is kind of weird in a vacuum, but it does um lead itself to bigger issues, I think, for the Mets than just the hitting. I think the pitching's also a problem. Um, I'm staying in the NL East for my second round pick, and that is we have a surprising showdown starting tonight in Philly when the Marlins come to town. And so the Phillies, they're not a surprise. They haven't, one of the things one of the comments I got for last week's show, and thank you for the comments, those of you that sent them in, is where's the NL talk? Last week was a very AL centric podcast, but also where's the Phillies talk? Now we did talk about them in the first episode, but there's a case to be made that they are the best team in the National League right now. I don't think I would go that far. I think it's the Dodgers, but they're definitely there. They're doing it on both sides of the plate. They're fifth in runs scored, fourth in average, fourth in OPS, second on base. Um, they're third in WAR. They're first in bullpen ERA. They're fourth and fifth. Their starters are actually kind of slacking right now as fifth in or ninth in starters ERA, and that's including Pedro Magana's 15 innings of scoreless baseball so far. But they're really good. Let's talk about the Marlins. The Marlins are first in the league in runs against with 25. They've outscored teams 44-25 so far. They're second in starters ERA, second in bullpen ERA, third and fifth, fourth in WAR. They're doing it with defense, third in efficiency, fourth in zone rating. They're doing it a little bit at the bat. They're eighth in WAR, eighth in average. Alex Watts has been excellent so far. I mean, granted, he's only got one start, but he gave up 3 hits in that 6 1/3, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. Jorge Fernandez is doing really well so far. 1-0 with 10 hits and 13 innings, 10 strikeouts, just 5 walks, which was a problem for him last year. He struck out 79 or walked 79, 166 innings. Richard White's doing the job so far. Really everybody in that rotation except Dane Greer. Their offense Ronald Acuna has he's started out the gate crushing the ball. 1.205 OPS, 236 OPS plus. Are the Marlins for real?
They're gonna get hurt by a loss of Shane Baz for 2 months. That's gonna take a big hurt on their rotation. I know they're counting on him to do, step up this year. Packaging, getting him in the package for Wander Franco last year. That's gonna hurt. But can their bats continue to produce the way they are? That's the question with the Marlins. I don't think their pitching will be fine. If Baz was in there, I think they'd be better. But I think their hitters are going to have to step up and carry them for a little bit here.
Yeah, Cristoforio, Fasole, he's down from his 684 or whatever he was last week. He's hitting 400 now, 462 on base, 514 slugging percentage. He's still hitting really well. But that 514 slugging comes with 0 home runs. He is not a power hitter, but he is a speedster. But they definitely have to find another power bat. Now, I know they're looking for some offensive weapons. The issue there is like, what do you offer in a trade to get those guys? Like, would you trade Jacob Cone? I don't think you do. After him, I don't like, I mean,
Brandon
Spencer,
Grieve might be their best trade chip they have, but he's only an average outfielder.
right. And he could be a good hitter. He's up in AAA now, but I mean, it seems like guys like him are a dime a dozen. Brian Rocchio could be another guy, shortstop in AA right now. He could be a guy. Or, if you find a guy worth moving Grant Delpit, maybe you move Delpit. I don't know that I would want to do that, or maybe even looking at moving like Khalil Watson or something. But I like this team so far. I mean, they're a team that they won 2 out of 3 against the Twins. They have actually won all 3 of their series so far. They're at Philly this, tonight through Wednesday, and then they host the Diamondbacks and the Giants. And if there's a time to get the Diamondbacks, it's now. And that's I don't think they're going to win the series in Philly, but it's not the layup that it was, or that people thought at the beginning of the season. Is I guess what I'm saying. Who do you like in the series? You're going to take the Marlins or the Phillies?
I got to take the Phillies winning 2 out of 3 in that series. Now, maybe when they get to Arizona, if things work out good, maybe they take 2 out of 3 in Arizona, the way Arizona's playing right now. Like you said, this is a time to get them, and then next week they have the matchup against the Giants. I mean, that if both of those teams produce this week, that might be a fun series to watch next week.
Yeah. The matchup, the Marlins Phillies matchup to really watch, I think, is tomorrow night. Alex Watts, Adrian Magana go head to head. That should be a really, really fun one. I feel like this series might be closer than people will expect. Like, I don't know if the Marlins are a long-term buy here, but they're really playing good ball now and need to be recognized for that.
Yep.
What's your 3rd round pick?
My 3rd round pick are the Cincinnati Reds for real? They're in first place. They're game up. The Cardinals have all kinds of injuries, so they have a chance to kind of separate themselves out right now if they can go on a run. But right now, they have a series at Atlanta, then 4 at home against Philadelphia, and then next week they have 3 versus Tampa at home and 4 versus Pittsburgh. So if they can get through this Atlanta and Philadelphia series in relatively good shape, when they hit next week, especially the end, I still am a believer in Tampa Bay that they're going to win the AL East. But then they get Pittsburgh for 4, Texas for 3, and then Oakland for 3. I mean, they look like they're for real to me.
Well, so there's two things working against the Reds right now. One, their offense is dreadful.
Yes, it is.
And two, the schedule. To the schedule, and not just that, they're playing some tough teams, but they don't have a break. They don't have a day off until April 20th. They will have had 3 straight weeks of games. And that's not good. Now I think they have done something really smart in that they're running a 6-man rotation right now, in order to allow for their starters to not really, have some early wear on them. But so they're 13th in runs scored. Like they're 5-4. So let's just, it's hard to say is a 5-4 team for real. Like to me, it's more like is the NL Central this bad? Which I would say yes, it is. It is this bad.
Well, somebody's got to win it though, right?
Right. And right now the Reds are getting the participation award. They're winning with a 7+ 7 run differential. Scored 33 runs in their 9 games. They've given up 26. They're 13th, like they are 10th or worse in most offensive categories. They're winning with the long ball. Chick stick the long ball in Cincinnati. They're tied for second there with 14. But they're winning with their pitching staff. First and even that's an illusion because their first in starters ERA at 2.10, their third in bullpen ERA at 2.02, their 10th in FIP at 4.40. So what is this team? Like they're first in defensive efficiency. That's driving their pitching. But what happens if that FIP turns out to be closer to reality? And you're looking at a team that, they might be 5-4, but they could also be an 85 win team, which also might be good enough to win the NL Central.
That is a good possibility. They did just get swept by the Phillies also. They lost 4-0, 4-3, and 5-7, which is nothing to, be upset about. But, now they come in against Atlanta and then they go back to Philly. So if they can survive this week and a half, the schedule gets a lot easier.
It's always hard to bank on a home run dependent offense. And you look at their lineup, their primary lineup right now. 8 players have at least a homer, but also their 2, 3, 4 guys are all hitting, or I'm sorry, 2 through 5 guys are all hitting under 193. That's not sustainable for even 5-4 every 3 series. That's not sustainable. So right now I can't say they're for real. I can't. Because their offense just does not sustain long term. Now, guys get hot, okay, but then you go back to the FIP and you say, well, is the pitching staff like how much worse is the pitching staff than they are right now? And so it's like a weird balance with this team where I'm like, I can't get behind them right now. I can't.
Well, we'll see in a couple weeks where they're at. If they're competitive, they are going to put some hurt on the NL Central. But if they have another couple series like they had against Phillies last weekend, they might bury themselves too early. But we also got to look at St. Louis and Milwaukee. Are they going to step up and take the reins?
I feel like the Reds might be the team that's hurt most by the balanced schedule. Because the NL Central is deeply flawed, and maybe the Reds are the least flawed right now. I still think the Brewers are the best team in this division. But their pitching staff's a launching pad. But competitive, I think they'll be competitive comparative to the division because I don't think they have a choice. Because I think the division in its form right now is just terrible.
That makes for good ratings down the road for us.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, tune in to watch mediocre baseball. That could be a sell point on local stations.
There you go.
My third round pick is simply this question: how in the world have the San Diego Padres scored 50 runs? So they're 14th in average, they're 14th in on base, they're 14th in OPS, they're 14th on WAR, they're 14th on WOBA. What? How is this happening? How? Yeah, they're tied for 5th in home runs. That doesn't entirely explain it. I'm at a loss.
Had 22 extra base hits, 23 walks. That helps a lot. But I don't know. It's a head scratcher to me.
Looking at this, they scored 20 runs over 2 games. On March 31st, they beat Colorado, or no, I'm sorry, over 2 and 3 games. They scored 9 back on the 31st of March, and then 11 in 11-5 win on April 2nd. They also have games of 6 runs and 2 games of 7 runs, but I just don't understand this offense. Like, and this to me is I think more indicative of what the MLB Pro has become, in that teams have put up a bunch of runs and you have no idea how they did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the strikeouts are let me just hold this up. Team statistics, because I want to see where are they in strikeouts.
They're tied for 10.
They're tied for
80
10
strikeouts. Yes.
What in batting strikeouts?
Oh, batting strikeouts. Yeah. Pitching
that's
strikeouts. They're tied for 11th with 74.
They have 80 strikeouts as a team. So teams above them, Atlanta and Washington have struck out 88 times. Cincinnati struck out 82 times, another tick against them. Arizona struck out 87, and Pittsburgh's also struck out 80. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're tied for what, 11th or 10th in the National League in strikeouts.
Yes.
And only Los Angeles and, well, I guess they're actually tied for second. Or no, that's RBIs. I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Los Angeles has scored more runs and Washington has scored more runs. The really interesting thing about them is they've scored 50 runs and they have 50 RBIs. Which is just odd to see because there's only one, like Philadelphia's done that. They have 44 runs, 44 RBIs. Pittsburgh 32 and 32, and that's it. Those are the only other two teams in the National League who have gotten RBIs on every single one of their runs scored. They don't walk. They don't walk. They have the second fewest walks in the National League. 23. Only Pittsburgh has less at 20. So they don't walk. They strike out a bunch. They have
They don't
12
really
home
steal
runs.
bases.
They have 12 home runs, which would put them at tied for sixth in the National League, but they only have 9 doubles. Seriously, what they have a 281 on base percentage, which is that's actually last in the National League. And it's not even no, I'm sorry. Pittsburgh is a 277 on base. But they're the only two teams that are under 300 in on base percentage. They have a slugging percentage of 367. Only Pittsburgh has a lower slugging percentage. How is this team scoring this many runs?
It's just one of those things you scratch your head and you say, I don't know. I can't answer that question for you.
It's such an anomaly. It's so strange. Outside of Anthony Rendon, nobody on this team is hitting. Anthony Rendon's 286, 3 homers, 11 RBIs. He's got a 914 OPS, but nobody else on this team is hitting consistently. Jeremy Sullivan's at 121, Steve Cartwright's at 200, Austin Martin's at 219, Jeff Brooks at 189. Those are the guys that follow him in the lineup. I don't get it. I don't get it with this team.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't know, and we'll see if it lasts very long.
Well, they're at New York starting tonight. Good luck hitting there. And then, one of the things like they do have, they have 4 against Milwaukee coming up, but it's at home. If it were in Milwaukee, I think that'd be a completely different story. Milwaukee's been giving up home runs left and right. But in San Diego, that's a different proposition. I think that's not a particularly friendly ballpark for anything. So, but yeah, I'm looking at it, I'm like, how none of this makes sense to me.
No, none at all.
All right, what's your 4th round pick here?
My 4th round pick is Nader DeSantis, the AL MVP at this point of the season, and can he continue it on into the rest of the season? I mean, he's batting 486 with a 548 on base percentage right now after 10 games. No power, no homers yet, 6 doubles, 2 steals, 1 caught stealing. He's on pace right now for a 13.6 raw. And he's rated at the top of a lot of categories.
So just a question. Have we ever had an MVP of a team that won 30% of its games? Like,
probably not.
What are they without them? 2-8 or without him? Are they 2-8?
Maybe 1-9.
I mean, the Royals have been terrible.
They have been so far.
They
just got swept by the Giants. I mean, that should tell you a lot right there.
Well, I mean, again, the Giants might have some staying power, but let's seriously pump the brakes on this dude. He's hitting 6th. Only in his second full season. He had 249, 337, 384 last year. So chance and he has 0 home runs, and he's not a fast guy. So, he's actually already got, he's got 2 stolen bases, which I'm a little surprised by. But if you have no home runs, your 649 slugging percentage is probably going to come down because I'm not so sure that you're going to have a 33% double rate on your hits. Like he's got 6 doubles and 18 hits. He is an excellent defensive third baseman, but the rest of this team has got to hit. Like this is another team that is weird where they're tied for 4th in runs scored, but then they've done outside of stolen bases, they steal a lot of bases. They're very aggressive with steals, so they're also 11th in base running.
And they walk a lot.
And this is a team where they actually have 0 run differential. So maybe there's a little bit of bad luck in this 3 and 7. Their bullpen has not done well, but also it's interesting. 5.21 starters ERA is good for 6th in the American League. So how good is American League pitching at this point in the season? Like if we just go to team statistics. So right now, the American League as a whole has an ERA of 4.41. The best team in the American League pitching wise is Seattle at 3.13, then Boston at 3.19. Houston 3.94, Minnesota 3.81, which actually might be a little surprise to me, and the Angels at 3.84. I don't know how does Kansas, because Kansas City's at 4.37, and that's not even next. Like these numbers are a little off. I don't understand how they end up at 5. Oh, because it's the total ERA. Okay, I'm an idiot. I can't. And can I pull? Aha. Okay, so starters ERA. Okay, I just pulled it. So in order to find this in the game, you go to MLB, then statistics, then team statistics, double splits, or I guess just splits. I'm sorry, just splits, and to line up and click on as starter. The league ERA for starters is 5.14. 5.14. The best ERA there is against Seattle at 3.10 and in Boston at 3.20. How many teams do you think have ERAs over 6? And can you guess them? Can you guess them?
That would be a difficult one to do.
So how many teams do you think there are, first of all, out of the 15 have starters ERA over 6?
6.
Okay, there's 5. Take a guess. Who do you think has them?
Let's see. Toronto.
Toronto is one.
Tampa Bay.
Toronto is at 6.85, by the way. Yeah, Tampa Bay is at 6.56, which is a surprise and likely an outlier given that teams are hitting for a 755 OPS against them. That's likely to come down.
I would say the A's are up there.
A's are at 5.95.
Oh, so we have a great starters ERA so far, you're saying?
Yeah, it's great. And there's a 340. Like the difference between Tampa and Oakland, Tampa has a 283 BABIP. The A's have a 347 BABIP. Like I think that's going to come down for Tampa. Not sure for Oakland.
Yeah. I'm at a loss. Let's see. Kansas City. Maybe.
No, they're at 5.21. Again, they're 6th. They're 6th in the AL.
Oh my. Toronto.
You said Toronto, so you got Toronto, Tampa Bay. I'll give you the other ones just for the sake of time. Baltimore at 6.29.
Oh man.
Also Detroit 6.05, and then Cleveland 6.75. Only 3 teams are below a 4, which is really kind of bizarre. And also the National League they're at 4.53, and they have two teams, Cincinnati again at 2.10, 2.10 starters ERA, St. Louis at 2.95. That and Miami, I failed to neglect Miami or failed to mention Miami here, 2.62. Teams that are just so far way ahead of everybody else. But the original point remains here. I think Kansas City and the rest of the American League not pitching terribly well at the moment, but like, is this just bad luck for Kansas City?
Oh, we'll find out here shortly, won't we?
Well, their
What's their
losses,
schedule? What's their schedule look like coming up too? That's the other thing.
they're 3 Texas, then home to Atlanta and Texas. Then they go to they play in Anaheim, at Arizona, and at Minnesota, a 10-game road swing to end the month.
They better feast on Texas here in the next week and a half.
Yeah,
The rest of
probably.
that schedule is tough.
Oh yeah, like the Royals, and there was something where I think you said in the no, you were talking about Baltimore. When you're talking about crowning the Royals, if they're, because we were looking at the Blue Jays schedule right now, that the Royals schedule looks way worse given their start.
Yes.
Yeah. So well, I
You
actually
had-
want
I was going to say
ahead.
you had an interesting final take.
Yeah, and it is sticking with Kansas City slightly. So whose start's been more impressive? Chris Bubich or Chris Roach? Bubich with the Royals. He is currently in his 2 starts so far. He's gone 12 and 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 0 runs, 14 strikeouts, just 1 walk. Chris Roach, on the other hand, just to pull him up here quickly. Chris Roach, he's got 2 starts so far, 13 innings, 7 hits, again, no walk or no runs allowed, 12 strikeouts and 6 walks. Whose start is more impressive in a vacuum?
That's a tough
Now,
one to say.
oh.
Washington's 5-5, but Kansas City is struggling, like you said.
Well, so let me just give this a slightly more context here. This is Roach's second full season. He's only had 1 full season in the pros. He was their closer last year, 3-5, 40 saves in 83 innings, 2.49 ERA, a 1.17 WHIP. So like that can stand out for me. But Bubich, he also, like, he is in his 3rd full season. He was 3-11 with a 4.25 ERA last year and a 1.46 WHIP, 171 hits allowed in 141 and 1/3 innings. His K rate has gone from, or his K9 has gone from 7.8 per 9 to 9.9 per 9. So taking that into consideration, who would you say has had the more fascinating start so far?
See, that's tough. It's hard to go from being in the bullpen to a top starter not being stretched out. So they must have stretched him out over the spring. But Bubik, the way he's pitching, just lights out. I don't know if he's not going to be able to keep this up. That's for sure. But can he keep his ERA down under 3? And if he does, or around 3, he could win, 18, 19 games in Kansas City this year.
Well, so Roach does look like he has average stamina for an MLB Pro starter. So I'm not sure that he needs to be that far stretched out. He did start 3 games last year. I don't know when they were, probably at the end of the year. The interesting thing about Bubich, and this is where I wonder if this is ultimate small size sample radio or sample theater, he tops out at 93 on the gun. he sits 91 to 93. He is a lefty, which does play better for him there. But is this? It probably comes down to control. Uh, to me, he's got one walk in 12 and 2/3. He does have plus control. So is the control sustainable? And then if it is, what is his ceiling?
Yeah, well, looking at him, I think his ceiling is a number 3 starting pitcher, maybe a
I mean,
2 on some team.
statistics wise this year, what's
Yeah,
his ceiling?
I, I think he can win 18 games this year if his control stays the way it is. If it doesn't, he might be back down to 12, 13 wins if he gets wild. And it just depends on his matchup. This is going to be a hard one. I mean, did the light bulb turn on for him this off season and starting this season? And if it does, who knows?
This is also one of those things where he was giving up 1.2 home runs per 9 last year. He's yet to give one up so far. And his walks went from 2.8 per 9 down to 0.7. I think his start is better, more fascinating because I think it's less sustainable than Roach's. And if I'm Kansas City, I actually might be very worried that I'm 3-7 with Bubic having this kind of start because he is much more of a candidate to regress to his mean than I think Roach is. Roach has
Yeah.
a at least a foundation of performing at the MLB Pro level. Bubic has not displayed continued success. Now, granted, Roach's is different in that he was a closer last year and give up a home run 9 rate that was higher than Bubic's. Barely. He gave up 12 home runs in 83 innings for a 1.3 rate. And his walks are actually higher. He's walking 4. But it feels like Roach has got more tools to succeed than Bubic does. He's got 5 pitches. 3 of them are 2 of them are plus. One is a plus pitch. He again already has the success. He's playing in a ballpark that lends itself. Well, it's not. It's really more of a hitter's ballpark. I should take that one back. Kansas City, they don't give up a lot of home runs there, which may be another thing for Bubic. But
Yeah, but how many innings is Roach going to be able to go each day? Each time 5 innings, 6 tops?
well, I mean, so far he's
Yeah.
gone. I mean, just pull that up. Where's his game log? He went 7 innings in a win against Tampa. Back on the 4th, he went 6 in a win at Colorado, which is impressive, given how offensive Colorado's park is. But he only gave up 4 hits in 6 innings there.
Yeah, I'm on a Zoom call.
No, I think Roach is good for at least 6 a night. Again, his stamina is not bad. And he's got the fastball that Bubic doesn't have. So I would lean, like, I would say Bubic is more fascinating. But Roach, I think, may have more long-term success. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much I want to tie to a guy who tops out at 93.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I think by the end of the month, we'll be able to look back on them and say they're probably where they should be, back to being normal.
The one thing that I think works out well for Bubic is he's reputed to have high intelligence, and that's definitely a thing. Um, so all right, let's get to our stash and sell for this week. Now, who are you stashing? What are you buying here?
I'm buying the Tampa Bay Rays right now.
How much more Rays can you buy? Don't you have like the entire supply of Rays stock?
Well, one of us has to have enough Rays stock the way they're going. I mean, you just took 2 out of 3 in Oakland, and then this week you get 4 against Boston at home and 3 at Toronto. And then next week you get at Cincinnati, at home against the White Sox. The next 2 weeks, what do you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 games next 2 weeks. I think the Rays are going to go 9-4 or 10-3. And to do that means I think you're going to shoot ahead in the division by a few games.
Well, so Boston's still in front. And they're still first and fifth. They're still second in starters ERA. Now I think Tampa's staff will come down like in they're 13th in starters ERA. Hunter Johnson's currently at a 15.75 ERA right now. Like he got lit up in his last start. He's only pitched 4 innings so far across 2 starts. And I mean, he has been just trucked. Tyson Oswalt got lit up in his last start. Carlos Mays is your number 3. Like the what's supposed to be a strength for Tampa, right? What's supposed to be a strength is definitely anything but, and that's
right
a
now.
concern. Yeah, right now that's a concern.
But you're going to get healthy right here in the next 2 weeks.
Well, they're going to get Kevin Clancy back, and that's a big that's a big one. He's was supposed to be one of their starters. Jeffrey Starks is slated to get a start here coming up, or within the next week. As they're searching, they're also, I know they're combing the trade landscape for another starter. Their offense still has too many swings and misses in it. Like looking at that schedule, I think maybe they split with Boston, but the Toronto Cincinnati thing, as terrible and as old and as Toronto is, we did not mention the Tim Lincecum injury on this pod, that he is out now for the season, and that career might be over.
Yeah.
Tampa doesn't play well in Toronto, and Toronto still has, if their pitching staff is lined up correctly, they still have the starters that can shut down the Rays. They got they got Kershaw. They actually, they're a team with an off day today, so they'll have Kershaw going tomorrow. So it'll be Kershaw, Tate, and Gilmartin. So the Rays would have Waka, Chapman, and Kershaw, which right now doesn't look like a thing, considering each of those 3 have ERAs over 10. But then Cincinnati has been pitching lights out, and it's at home. So I'm not so sure that I would say the schedule is entirely favorable, because you've got 2 teams that again, Cincinnati only 5-4, but at home that's a different story. And Boston's playing well. So I don't know that this is set up for any, like, for separation for a second place team.
I'll disagree with you. You got the Tampa Bay has the offense. Look at the way Elliot Jenkins is playing to start the year, batting .366, 409 on base percentage. I can't pronounce Kelenic. He's batting .269, but 406 batting average. I mean, the bats are starting to come around in Tampa Bay. Bobby
Clank's
Witt
only hitting
Jr.
259. I don't know. I think you said 406.
Oh, no,
Um,
406 on base.
Oh,
That's what mine shows, 269, 406.
no, he's at 259, 394,
Still take that.
481.
But
Witt has
I
come on
just,
recently, but
yes. I just see good things coming in Tampa's future. And like I said, I predict them to win the East, but I think this is the time for them to put some distance between them and the rest of the division.
all right. Well, that's enough race talk. Just I'm not buying it. I'm just not buying it. I'm not buying it. Who I am buying though is Jacob Skull in Texas. Now he's had a heck of a week. But he's hitting 273, 390, 818 for a 1.208 on base or OPS, at 221 OPS plus. He's got 5 home runs, which currently leads everybody. 11 RBIs. What stands out and the reason I'm buying him? 7 walks, 4 strikeouts, and 41 plate appearances. Yes, small sample size. I get it. But this is a guy that, in a league where strikeouts are handed out like air, like oxygen, like everybody gets a bit. This guy is one of the few who can, at the very least, walk as much as he strikes out, which
Yeah,
is
but
tremendous.
he's not going to continue to hit 5 home runs and 33 at bats. He doesn't have that much power. He's
Well,
probably a guy who's going to hit 20, 25 homers for the entire year.
well, I mean, let's hold on there. So yeah, he only hit 17 last year. Yeah, he hit 20 in 2021. He hit 31 in 2020. He hit 26 in 2019. The guy is capable of hitting 30 homers. And if he's getting on base, he does have, like, his best year, arguably, is 2019, where he hit 303, 399, 575 for a 974 OPS, like on the triple slash, like that's his best year. If he is a guy who's getting on base at a 390 clip again,
But that was 4 years ago. He's 31 years old now, right now.
yeah, doesn't mean he's
You
ancient.
know, no, but I don't see him being able to keep this power up. I mean, if he doesn't hit the power, the 5 home runs, where does he go from there? I
You're
just
like,
don't see that he's going to continue to be anywhere near as good as he's been.
no,
Last year he had 252.
I feel like he's somebody who this can be more sustainable, and I think you look to the guys around him in the lineup, like Javier Rodriguez is performing so far, though he's another weird guy who has a 308 average and a 293 on base. It's because he hasn't walked at all. Arturo Moreno is hitting 444, 524, 667. That's not sustainable. But if he continues to hit, 300-ish, and Josh Gray does, like, I'll be honest, when Josh Gray was in the Tampa organization, he was a Rule 5 pick. If I remember correctly. Yeah, he was a Rule 5 pick, although he was a Rule 5 pick. He was a Rule 5 pick for Tampa. Josh Gray, now this is an interesting weird story that I didn't pick up when I was on hiatus. So Gray was in AAA last year with Tampa. He was in Durham. He had 284, 356, 386. He stole 35 bases in 56 attempts. He stole a lot of bases, but he also ran a lot. But I know Tampa was high on him, but they just didn't have room for him with Cruz. He signed a 3-year deal with Texas, so it was a free agent thing, which I don't understand how Gray was a free agent, but that's neither here nor there. He signed a 3-year deal for $28.3 million, not having played a single at bat in the majors. And so far,
Well,
he's hitting 484, 529, 742 in his first 34 plate appearances. I don't think it's
yeah,
sustainable. I don't think it's
no, not
sustainable,
even
but
close. I
also
think
like,
the I
go ahead.
was going to say the only way I think School is going to be consistent is, maybe Texas trades him for a couple prospect or something, and he goes to a better hitter ballpark. And if that's the case, I think he can do more damage than he's going to do in Texas.
Possibly. I mean, he is in a walk year too, and that's a thing. He is in a contract year. So can you imagine the Angels getting him?
No, or Houston, or Seattle, or
He doesn't
maybe
have a spot in
Arizona.
Houston. Doesn't have a spot in
That's true.
Houston, but like, you know, um, but he could have a spot in Anaheim. Um, and he has a history of performing, and so far he's been performing this year. So like I'm buying. I'm on board with him right now. Who you selling? I think this is obvious.
Yeah, it's obvious. I'm selling the San Francisco Giants. There is no way they can continue a pace anywhere close to this. Like I said before, they're going to be lucky to win 65 games this year.
You went
Maybe
from
7. Okay,
70 to
I'll
you went from
I'll give
70
them.
to 65. If I give you 3 minutes, you're going to be at 60.
Hey, this is Hines we're talking about. This is my arch nemesis right now. We got to keep him down. But no, I think he can get between 65 and 70 wins, but I don't see him going anywhere near that. And now he has a 3-game series against the Dodgers
At
in San
home.
Francisco. Yeah. And then he goes on the road, 3 against Detroit, 3 against Miami. And then he gets the Mets. So this is his opportunity to stay above 500. But what I'm predicting is by the end of the month, he's going to be below 500.
I two things. One, um, I think I became a like, and I love the Dodgers. I think I became a Giants fan for tonight and tomorrow night because I just want to see what happens if the Giants win the first 2 games of the series, and just see what happens to you. And secondly, did you know that the Giants' magic number is 153? I just
One,
wanted to
that's
let you
it.
know that they have a magic number. They have a
That is
magic number. I just wanted,
that is pretty cool. But Seattle's is 152.
yeah, but you know they had, but the Giants have a magic number, and that's all that matters right now.
That is all that matters. But it's never going to sustain.
Well, you're selling the Giants. I am selling whatever's left of Toronto's playoff futures for whatever I can get.
If somebody offered you 10 cents on the dollar, you're selling your house.
Yeah, because it's
Mortgaging.
not gonna. I don't think it's ever gonna go higher. Like I feel like it just goes lower by the day. So they're 4-6, sure, but again, they just lost their ace for the rest of the year, and with Lincecum out for until what, February
10,
next year?
yeah, 10 months minimum. Yeah.
Um, you have to wonder if his career is over. He's going to be 39. He'll turn 40 next year. So by the time he gets back on a mound, he's going to be a late 39. He was pitching great when he did go down. In 2 starts, 9 2/3, 4 hits, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts, no runs allowed. But now all of a sudden he's out for a year. They inserted James Tate into the rotation, and all Tate has done so far in his 2 games, he has pitched 3 innings, given 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 3 runs. He has a 4.55 BABIP because Toronto's defense is terrible. He has a 9. He has a BB9 rate of 9. And now they have to lean more on Michael Wacha, who is terrible. He's terrible. Like their starters ERA, they're last in the American League in starters ERA. They are third in bullpen ERA, and that's probably going higher because now you're getting rid of James Tate in the bullpen. But they're 13th and 5th. They're 12th in WAR. They're 13th in strikeouts. They are 15th in zone rating. They're 15th in errors. They're 10th in defensive efficiency, and that is like the best statistics on their page outside of the home runs. They're tied for 10th in runs scored. They're in the bottom quarter of literally every offensive category except home runs. This is a terrible team that just gets older by the day. Like, start trading guys. I'm it's going to be like a weekly PSA. Has Toronto traded anybody this week?
And to go back on James Tate, he has never had a winning record any year. His best year was probably 2020 when he played for the Yankees, the Braves, and the A's all in the same year. He posted a 3.93 ERA and was 8-10 that year. In 2022, he missed all of 2021. In 2022, he pitched for Oakland and Toronto, was 8-11, close to a 5 ERA. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't see him being able to pick up any slack. I'm agreeing with you. I think Toronto is dead in the water. Kind of like maybe they're going to get like the Mets and Bruce and said, we're going to make another run at it. But what do they have to trade?
They had to. Well, they have, again, we've talked about this. They have all those expiring contracts that do hold value for teams like Minnesota, for the Angels. If they sustain, maybe for the Giants, maybe for the Reds. Like, they do hold some pieces that can be moved, but again, it's how soon do you start moving them? Because
gotta move them now, while they have value, and teams are sitting there saying, "I still have a chance."
While you have some leverage, and the longer they go on, and the Lincecum thing is probably the nail in the coffin on this one. You need, like, if you don't have leverage, like even a guy like Josh Wilcox, you're not going to get a whole lot for him.
No, the best bet is obviously Stanton. To go out and move.
I said it last week. I think Wilcox has the most value of anybody on this team in a trade because of Stan's age, like what he's going to cost in the future. And also he's hitting like hot garbage now. Like I don't think, because also with Stan, you're not going to be able to sign him to a 2 or 3 year deal. Like your chances are you're going to have to lock him in like a 4 or 5 year deal. And that's not, I don't think that's going to sit well with a lot of teams. Like, I feel like Stan's going to be a guy who gets a 1 year, $20 million deal in February of next year.
So open up Stanton's player page. I want to see if mine is correct, because mine says his average is 231 and his on base average is 225.
Yep,
he has a lower on base average
because he has no walks. He has no walks.
Yeah. Just one of those oddities that you almost never see.
Yeah. Like, he is the next coming of Miguel Velasquez. Yes.
Well, I don't know if he'll ruin your locker room.
No, but he's going to ruin your payroll if
that's for sure.
So that's why I think Wilcox has far more value in a trade than Stan does. So
and plus the salary difference is a lot too. So
right. Wrapping up, we got head to head. So last week, you went 1-2. I went 2-1. Oddly enough, the ones that you lost. So you won the Diamondbacks Dodgers series. You took Dodgers, I took the D-backs. You won that one. But then the other two, number of hitters with 0.5 WAR or higher, was at 14.5. Or no, I'm sorry. It was at 11. And then 24 had 0.4 or higher. And so the over-under was 14.5. You took the under. I took the over. That number's at 38 now, which I did not see coming.
I was
And
slightly
then
off.
just a bit. And then the number of relievers with 12 plus strikeouts. There were 31 last week with at least 5. And so the over-under was at 15.5. And you took the over, and I took the under, and that number is 8 this week, which was
Just a little bit off
also
again.
was also a surprise. So we're both at 4-2. So here's the first one for this week. Who has the better week, Miami or San Francisco?
And I wanted to pick a tie at 1 for each
Nope.
of them, but you told me I had to pick a winner, so I'm taking Miami. I just don't see San Francisco winning much this week.
So again, Miami's schedule, they're at Philly and then home against Arizona. So these are games. This is going to be for games through next Sunday. So both teams, if I remember correctly, both have 6 games. Yep. The Dodgers or the Giants have the Dodgers at home, and then the Tigers in Detroit. The Marlins have the Phillies in Philly, and then they have the Diamondbacks in Miami. So you took the Giants. How many wins
No,
do
I
you think
took
the Giants?
no.
Or
I
you took
took
Miami.
Miami.
You took Miami. I'm sorry. Yeah, you took Miami. How many wins do you think Miami gets?
1, maybe 2.
Really? See, I could see them winning the series against the D-backs. I could see that. But I'm just going to go
Yeah.
out on a limb. I think the Giants are going to get 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers.
Oh,
I think the
I don't
Giants are
see
going to
that.
get 2 out of 3. Because
What's the pitching matchups?
It's a hot hand situation to me. Like, and you're home, and that's the qualifier to me on that one.
Well, the Giants are going up against Holton and Evaldi the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's right now, isn't it?
Yeah, but Holton hasn't been like Holton. He's 0-1, 12 hits in 11 innings. Yeah, 16 strikeouts. But his whip is 1.27. He also have a BABIP of 385, which is that really kind of sticks out to me. The Giants.
What better way to get in right than facing that Giants offense?
Sure, but the Dodgers pitching staff. So they're 13th in the National League in starters ERA at 6.66. They're also 13th in FIP, which Evaldi hasn't been good. He's given up 11 hits 15 hits in 11 innings. He's got a 1.64 whip, 1-0 with a 4.91 ERA. And then Cedric Flowers has been oh my God, he's been terrible.
Well, I'm going with a sweep here. Dodgers sweep the Giants.
Let me just point out Ceddy Flowers here. 14 hits in 5 innings, 11 earned runs. He's got a whip of 3.20 and a BABIP of 476. Yeah, I'm taking the Giants to win that series. And then Detroit, who the hell knows with Detroit? You know that they're a hot mess themselves. Who they're not pitching well. So yeah, I'm taking the Giants. I think the Giants can go 4-2. But I also think 3-3 will get it done. So yeah, I'll take the Giants.
3-3. I think we'll get it done this week between the 2 teams. Easy.
Yeah. Second one, Cleveland scores 10 plus runs against the Yankees in their series that starts tonight. The reason I bring this up is Cleveland so far in their 10 games, they have only scored 28 runs. So they're averaging 2.8 per game. they are arguably the worst team in the entire league right now. Their offense is either last or next to last in everything except home runs where they're tied for 13th and in stolen bases where they're tied for third. But their pitching is also either last or next to last in everything but strikeouts where they're ninth. But this is really focused on the offense. Their offense is dreadful.
Well, let me just tell you, I think they're going to get the 10 runs in the first 2 games of the series. I think their offense is going to come alive. The Yankees don't have very good pitching.
Their starters have been decent so far. They're
So
ninth.
far, but
Their
we're
starters
talking
are
about 2
ninth.
games. Yeah. We're talking about 2 games though. Each.
You know,
So I think they're going to get their 10 runs in the first 2 games of this series.
okay.
Let it be over.
I said no. Also, Cleveland, not exactly a it's not a tremendous hitter's ballpark, but they are just they're on the struggle bus with that offense. And lastly, Chris Scalise has a quality start Thursday against Toronto. You
I
said
said
no.
no
I
way.
said yes. Yeah.
I
why
said
you
no
say
way. Because I want to see Jim blow up. It's going to happen when Toronto has their best offensive night of the week. Gets Scalise out after 3 or 4 innings. I think the Scalise trade talk's going to heat back up.
So here's an interesting thing. Scalise had 14 starts in Detroit last year. How many of those do you think were quality starts?
4.
Yeah, that's actually right. He had 4. He had
Oh, was
4.
it?
He was 4 for 14 in quality starts. And in Pittsburgh, he was 14 of 17. And he doesn't have a quality start so far this year. I said yes because of how terrible Toronto is right now. Of how, like, to me, it's like a law of averages situation. Now the thing working against Scalise is that they're in Toronto, but Toronto's been so bad. Just in everything, they're just so bad. That I'm like, I feel like he's got to get one somewhere. And so I'm taking the terrible team over the currently terrible pitcher. How many starts do you think it will be before Scalise gets on the trade block? Like, how many total starts?
I think he's already there. I just don't think Jim's publicizing it like he was before.
I mean, unless something has happened in the last week, I could say on good authority that that's not the case. But again, if in the past week maybe something has changed. But I mean, he did, through channels indicate that he was not, that Scalise was not on the trading block. I would give it.
I think that's what he's saying publicly. But he has Dumont waiting in the wings, or is he hurt right now? Yeah, he's out for 5 weeks. I think by the time Dumont comes back, Scalise is back on the block for sure.
I mean, I think it also depends on what the Tigers' record is at that point. But yeah, I was gonna say like 7 starts, because if there's 7 starts of Chris Scalise, one, you shot his trade value, so like, kind of why even bother at that point? But teams like, I mean, heck, if I'm Pittsburgh, I probably circle back to try and get him for cheap. But teams that interest, regardless of how terrible Scalise is now. I just don't understand why he's been so bad in Detroit. Like, I don't know what it is. Why he has not been a good there, but I think he's going to get one against Toronto, and that's more against Toronto than it is Scalise, because it's like, if you put a paper bag over the head of 2 equally bad things and tell them to fight, one of them's going to win. You don't really know which one it's going to be.
Unless they both knock each other out.
Well, I mean, the game can't end in a tie, but I'm just gonna put a paper bag over both of them and say, just do it and see what happens.
There
Um,
you go.
yeah. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about for today?
Yeah, I hope the Giants get swept this week.
Oh boy.
Oh, 0-6.
This is going to become the podcast of San Francisco vitriol. Which I don't want to be associated with that. Like I don't know. Like if they have a winning if they have a winning week, you have to say one good thing about them next week.
All right, if they go 4-2 or better this week, I will come up with something nice to say about the Giants.
It has to be legitimately nice. Like it can't just be like, um, their colors are good or something. Like it has to be,
I
or
will say
they
something positive. I'll say something positive about the team or about Hines, one of the two. I don't know which one yet.
okay. Okay, I'll take that. Um, well, looking forward to another good week. And hopefully Mondays are where we hang our hat on this going forward. But that's it for me, I think. And I think that's it for you.
That's it for me. Yep.
All right. Well then for Scott, I'm Comey. Thanks for listening to episode 3 of a rough draft. If you have any suggestions for our head to head or any topics come up over the next week that you want us to talk about next week or potential draft picks, please let one of us know. Thank you for listening and have a wonderful whenever it is, wherever you are.